Chapter 9 Love's Voice. Not long after Levi's birth, Leah was pregnant with her fourth child. She was now the talk of the town, the fruitful mother of 3 sons and pregnant with another, but Rachel was still childless. How the tables had turned. Leah stepped out for a stroll in the open fields, holding onto her bulging tummy as though it carried tablets of gold. Approaching father's idol shelter, she observed Rachel on her knees, reciting words of devotion they had learned growing up.
Our ancestors are dead and buried, Rachel. These idols of stone do not hear you.
Rachel turned to her, a disgruntled look on her face. Leah had made it known she no longer had respect for their household gods. She now worshipped Yahweh the way Jacob did and was considered the naive fool for it.
And what has your imaginary god ever done for you, Leah?
I have sons, Rachel. These idols of stone couldn't produce a ragdoll if they tried.
Rachel cringed at the spiteful reminder of her barrenness.
Nonsense.
She rolled her eyes, obviously struggling to maintain her composure.
Women have been birthing children for ages. Women in Haran who know nothing about your unseen God. You would reject the ancient devotion to our ancestors and pretend to worship a God you have never seen, all because you want Jacob's attention?
Leah forced a laugh to suppress her annoyance.
I have great respect for our fathers, but they were mere men, and now they are dead men. Yahweh is the only true God.
Rachel gave a mocking laugh.
It seems while you failed to draw a real man's attention, your invisible God has been seeking yours. If he were an actual person we could see, one might think you've finally found yourself a lover, dear sister.
Rachel blew out a burning flame and rose gracefully. Stepping out of the idol's shelter, she started to walk away, but paused beside Leah.
Tell me, Leah.
She spoke to her ears.
Has the all-powerful Yahweh turned our husband's heart to you?
Gazing down at Leah's bulging belly, she added,
How many more sons must you bear before he loves you?
Satisfied with the effect of her words, Rachel walked away. Leah's face fell on her tummy. Rachel was right. She remembered the surge of hope she had felt after each conception.
Perhaps this one would win Jacob's heart.
She had thought each time. She had been wrong, and she was wrong again.
Your plans aren't working!
Leah screamed to the sky as tears rolled down her cheeks.
Jacob still doesn't love me. Can't you see? He doesn't love me!
I love you.
Who's there?
Leah turned around desperately, seeking to see who spoke. There was no one. I love you. I have always loved you. The voice came again. Leah couldn't tell if she heard the words audibly or if they echoed in her mind. It didn't matter. Like a double-edged sword, they were soft and gentle, with all the love she had ever longed for, but sharp enough to pierce through the heaviness enveloping her heart for years.
Yahweh?
She responded through trembling lips. Could it be? Supporting her belly with both hands, Leah headed for the fields in search of Jacob. He had spoken countless times of hearing God's voice. Was it not Yahweh who spoke to his fathers, Abraham and Isaac, reaffirming his commitment to them? Could it be his voice she now heard?
It seems why you failed to draw a real man's attention. Your invisible God has been seeking yours.
Jacob! Jacob!
She yelled as she ran towards the plains where the flock was gathered. I love you. Joy flooded her heart.
Oh, Yahweh!
She could now see the men at a distance. The feeling of warm liquid flowing down her thighs brought Leah to a halt. She stooped low as a gripping pain shot through her abdomen. Leah crumbled to the ground. She was in pain. Yet, she couldn't stop the flow of laughter springing from her inside. Two women returning from the well noticed her. They abandoned their jars of water and ran to her aid. Ignoring their questioning looks, Leah giggled aloud as tears of gratitude and remorse flowed down her face. She had spent her days driven by the quest to make herself more desirable to her husband. She had used the precious sons to try to make up for what she lacked in his eyes. But it was her attention Yahweh sought. He was wooing her and showing her she mattered to him. Right there on the ground, her heart filled with adoration for the God of Jacob, her God. For the first time, she was sincerely grateful. She nestled in his love, allowing the joy and excitement welling up in her to dispel the ache her heart felt only moments ago.
Songs of praises, I will ever give to thee. Songs of praises, I will ever give to thee. Songs of praises, I will
Leah sang softly as she rocked her newborn in her arms. Jacob entered the tent and stood by her bedside, looking down at his son with pride. There was no doubt he had grown to respect her. But his love and affection were another matter.
Yahweh has been good to you,
he said.
Yes, he has.
The jealousy she felt towards her younger sister had far from vanished, but Leah had begun her journey to receiving God's comfort. What was the love of a man compared to that of the creator of the entire universe?
I heard his voice,
she said cautiously.
Whose voice?
Jacob studied her face. Observing her hesitation, he asked,
The Lord spoke to you?
out in the fields. But it wasn't the first time. He has been seeking my attention all along.
Her self-consumed heart had blinded her to the truth.
What did he say?
Leah stopped to consider what she was about to utter. That the God of all creation would speak to her was hard enough to imagine, let alone telling her he loved her. Never had she heard of a love relationship between any God and a man. She looked up at Jacob. Would this offend him?
He said he loves me.
Tears blurred her eyes. Jacob stared at her for what seemed like forever.
Believe him,
He said solemnly, and the tears spilled down her cheeks. Was it possible that the all-knowing God saw her devious and selfish heart, but still loved her? There was nothing desirable in her.
I have acted foolishly in many ways, Jacob. I have been cruel to Rachel and deceitful to you. I do not deserve his love. I deserve nothing at all.
Jacob looked into her eyes, and it might have been the first time his gaze held genuine compassion for her.
The sacrifice, Leah.
He heaved a sigh.
I must tell you about the sacrifice.
He had never offered any explanation for the strange Hebrew practice he introduced to them, and she had never been bold enough to ask.
Like the lambs we offer as burnt sacrifices, the promised offspring will be punished and killed.
I don't understand.
Leah straightened.
What would be his crime?
He would be blameless, but the Lord will lay upon him the offenses of us all, freeing us to experience his love. That is what we partake of. That is what will be made available to the world.
Leah's eyes brightened with realization.
Believe him.
Jacob repeated firmly. He reached out to take the baby boy in his arms.
There is something about this one.
The sure was, he was born out of gratitude and not the desperate desire to win her husband's love. God did not overlook her, nor dismiss her as undesirable to behold, but gave her his attention till she had no doubt. Love was a person, and he accepted her.
His name is Judah.
Leah said.
Judah, born out of praise.
Jacob echoed its meaning. Through the lineage of Judah, son of the unloved Leah, but dearly beloved to the Lord, came that offspring of Abraham, the Savior, Jesus Christ.